It's the new year for trees, but that doesn't make it the new year for fruit. So when we talk about the fruit of the tree of life, or we talk about fruit in general, let me give something about the word pre. The word pre, pei, resh, yud, and if you spell it out, pei, that's pei aleph, resh is resh shin, and yud is yud vav dalet, and just take the din letters, the din letters. That's the letters after the first letter. You get an aleph, you get a shin, and you get a yud, a vav dalet. That comes out to 311. 311, if you remember, is the numerology, the gematria of the word ilan, which means tree. So the fruit and the tree have a complete linkage and comparison. It's also the gematria of Shavat itself, the entire month of Shavat. So again, there's an entire month here, not just the 15 days, but the entire month is permeated by this energy. Another thing about these four letters of din in the word pre, which parallels the four letters themselves of the word ilan, is if you add the four letters to the 311 in the din of pre, you get 315, and that's Yetzirah. And remember, that's the Yetzirah world and the Malakim. But I have something deeper with this, because, you know, I'm into what I call the atzmuts. I'm interested in the real thing. The atzmuts, that's the atz, the eitz, the tree of mavet, death. And so that's what I'm really interested in here, to get to the atzmuts level. And what is this atzmuts level? To me, it's the botzina de kartanuta. If you're not familiar with it, then become familiar with it. It's expressed in the Zohar, and the word de kartanuta is expressed in the Talmud also. They call it a hard wheat. This wheat, you know, what is wheat? Wouldn't they think that wheat may be the forbidden fruit of the tree of life? And it very well could be, because we repair that every day when we say Berchas Hamazon. But the origin point, this botzina de kartanuta, is the botzina could be a spark, could be a candle, a flash, and de kartanuta has the connotation and denotation of hard. So it could be a hard candle. It certainly seems like a phallus or a phallic object of some sort. And to me, this is also represented as a tree. This botzina de kartanuta is the tree of life, or the tree of death, or the one tree. And so Each of us has a fetish object. Our deepest core is a fetish object. This fetish object is a pri. It's a piece of fruit. It's your pri, your fruit of the Eitz Hadah, or the pri of the tree of life. So when they say, what was the fruit of the tree of life? Could have been an apple, could have been wheat, could have been a fig tree. All this, why? Because it's your fetish object. You reach into out of the hand and pull out of the tree of life. That's the recognition of your fetish object. So they confuse the languages. One of the things that they did, as expressed in the Zohar, in the beginning, in Bereshit, in the first page of the Zohar, is that first of all, the Botzina de Kartanuta is considered the Yesod. They call it Yesod of Ima. But the whole idea here, is that they betash, they battered this Botzina de Kartanuta. They kind of like hit it. They battered it into 70 lights. That 70, by the way, is the large shin of the Shema. This large shin of the Shema is the 70 lights that the Botzina de Kartanuta was batash, was battered into. Let me give you something about the word batash. Batash is the same letters rearranged as Shavat. Batash is bet, tet, shin. If that's the case, then batash is obviously bet, tesh, shin. It's 311. And that's the same gematria here. This is the super gematria. It also has a representation, 311 plus 3 is 314, and that's Shaddai. This whole thing is I'm going to show you is something else, because Shaddai is the key to a mezuzah. But I'm going to show something else. For me, the fetish object is the special thing. You see? So there's a tree, it's phallic, but there's deeper than the tree. The deeper than the tree is the individual fruit from the tree. So a tzaddik has to be known by his fruits. You're known by your fetish object. That fetish object is your depth. You see? That's your motivating force. The "70 lights" that it's battered into, this Botzina de Kartanuta, it's also the 70 languages of the world. It's the separation of the things. You see? So it's the concept of the fetish object, but what is your fetish object is the fruit. See? So the tree is the fetish object, but the concept of fetish object, but the particular is the fruit of that tree. So the real depth of psychology in Lacanian psychology, and whether you know it or not, there's a proof that Freud was taught the Zohar. See? Because the real secret in Lacanian therapy and in Freudian therapy is not the pleasure principle. It's the beyond the pleasure principle. The death instinct, the death drive, it's called the synthome, synthetic man of Lacan. It's the fetish object. This fetish object is found within the death drive. And in what I call the will to lose. Let's see. No, they've called it death drive, they've called it this. What I call is the will to lose. And that will to lose is actually found in the tree of good and evil, of the Etz Hadas of Tov and Ra. It's actually found there. And the taking of the tree from the snake and the bringing of death is a deep principle and is part of a fetish object, which also expresses in French as petite mort, which means orgasm. So all this becomes a sexual thing. It's not that it's sexual so much, it's that it's related to yesod. Yesod, the yud and the sod. The yud as the drop, the seminal drop, is the sod, the secret. And yud, fully spelt out, is also in yesod. Yud and the samach. The yud is found within the samach. As this drop, as its botzina de kartanuta, how the world was formed, how the Big Bang is, again, sexual. So this deep aspect, which is also found in the word etrog, as 610, you know. Etrog at 610, but fully spelt out, is 1,113 plus 5 letters of etrog is 1,118. Those are the letters of the Shema. And so the etrog is actually talked about in the Shema, because whenever something is 1,118, it relates to the Shema. 1,118 is the combination of the two names, Yud Kei Vav Kei and Elohim, fully spelt out. Yud Kei Vav Kei is 332, and Elohim in its three spellings is 886, and those two names, 332 and 232, not 330, 232 and 886 is 1,118. So 1,118 are the two names of Elohim and Yud Kei Vav Kei, and that's the word etrog. And so what are we really getting here? There's a lot in about etrog and the potency of it and the jelly of it from Sukkos. Remember, I think that the start is Tu B'Shvat. They think the start is Sukkot. They take the fruit and then use it. For me, it's the birth. It's the seminal insemination occurs on the 15th of Shevat. And this is the Fetish day. This is the Botzina de Kartanuta day, the phallic day, the number 311 day. 311 also expresses its 315 day, it's here a day. 311 is Ish day. Remember now, they like to think that Adam comes from Tiferet and Ish comes from Yesod. And that wouldn't be a surprise, would it? If the trees of Shabbat come from Yesod, and the word pre, as is its first letter, the pei, which is 80, which is the gematria of Yesod. And if that's the case, anyway. So the actual fruit, is the individual's fetish object. This same pre, by the way, Pei Resh Yud, with its root, Pei Resh. That's the root of the word tree. It means separation. That's 280. 280 represent the 5 dinam of the 5 final letters. Let's see. It's also the root of the word Purim. Pei Vav Resh. So the pre of Pri Eitz Hadah, which is the etrog, has its continuation 30 days later in Purim. So we start our study of Purim when? On Tu B'Shvat. Why? It's the start, it's the sexual start, and that's what the story of Purim is all about. It's the story now of the Yesod De'ema, which very well could be Esther. So now, the real secret of the etrog and how you spell etrog is Aleph, Tov, Resh, Vav, Gimel. But the first 3 letters is Aleph, Tov, Resh. And if we put in the Samach, after the Aleph, the Samach, from the concept of Yesod, we get Esther from the etrog, And so this is a nice meditation on how you can think there. I'll be talking more about the Botzina de Kartanuta, what it represents, the death instinct in Judaism, the will to lose in Judaism, and what that actually means within the relationship of the non-Jewish culture and actually, this is my insight, and be delving more into this